Welcome to the Heartlifter Way. I'm Janell and this is a gentle space for emotionally weary women to breathe, heal, and carry life differently. Here on the Heartlifter Way, we walk the gentle path, grounded in what is real, expressing emotions with self-compassion, nourishing our nervous systems, trusting in God's daily presence and care, listening to our body's quiet wisdom, and embracing micro movements forward in hope. Today's conversation is called Healing Requires Surrender. There are seasons in life when we believe healing will come through trying harder, through discipline, through determination, through pushing and pushing through fixing ourselves quickly. But sometimes healing asks something entirely different from us. Sometimes healing asks us to surrender. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrender in the sense of letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of striving, letting go of the illusion that we can carry everything alone. After my cardiac event, my life changed in ways I could not yet understand. At first, I thought recovery would simply mean getting my strength back. I assumed healing was mostly physical. But slowly, oh, so slowly, I realized something deeper was happening. My body was not only recovering, my soul was being interrupted. Oh, my life was being interrupted. The pace I had lived, the pressure I had normalized, the emotional weight I had carried could no longer continue the same way. Not this time. My heart, literally and figuratively, could not keep carrying life as it had before. It was time for a change. And honestly, as you know, I'm going to be honest with you. That realization was painful. So painful. Because surrender often feels like loss before it feels like peace. There were things I had to grieve, things I didn't even know I had to grieve. In fact, there was a lot I didn't know. The version of myself who could endlessly produce, I had to grieve that. The version of myself who believed rest had to be earned, I had to grieve that. The version of myself who thought strength meant self-sacrifice at all cost. Maybe that was the hardest of them all. Healing exposed how exhausted I truly was, not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In fact, I had been exhausted for a very, very, very long time. And somewhere inside that unraveling, God began gently, and I'm so grateful. He was so gentle, and he started asking me a new question. What if you were never meant to carry life this way? Well, that question changed everything. That led to two more questions. What is mine to carry? And what isn't mine to carry? And God, in his gentle way, invited me to sit with him, walk with him, rest with him, to find the answer to those 3 questions. That question, as I said, changed everything, and it led to those 2 other questions that led me to make some serious changes, because I began realizing healing was not about returning to who I had been. Healing was inviting me to become someone new, to actually come home to my essence, my God-breathed self. And that transition required my surrender, deep surrender. I'm now calling that soul deep surrender. The surrender of identity, the surrender of expectations, the surrender of old vocational rhythms, and the surrender of who I thought and even who I had been told I needed to be. There were doors I could no longer walk through the same way. Not even my front door, my back door to my own home. There were responsibilities I needed to hold differently. There were internal pressures I could no longer survive beneath, self-imposed pressures. And slowly, the Heartlifter Way began emerging. Not from personal ambition, but from healing, deep, soul deep healing. Not from branding, which, as an author, is part of my process, but from surrender, giving it all to the God that I now know loves me deeply. This space was born from the realization that emotionally weary women do not need more pressure, particularly internal pressure. We put enough pressure on ourselves. We need gentleness. We need emotional honesty, nervous system care, compassionate companionship, deep soul care, permission to rest and to feel, to sense, and to heal ever so slowly. This cardiac event became a threshold moment for me. Not because I would have chosen it. Oh no, quite the contrary. But because it forced me to listen. To listen to the quiet language of my precious body and its limits, to my soul and to God. And maybe, just maybe, you are standing inside a threshold season too. Maybe life has interrupted you. Maybe grief interrupted you. Illness interrupted you. Burnout? Has burnout interrupted you? Loss. Has loss interrupted you? Anxiety. Has anxiety interrupted you? Within the onset of the atrial flutter, the anxiety in my body was unlike anything I'd ever felt before and quite unexplainable. My body was no longer whispering, it was crying out. And perhaps you are trying desperately to return to the version of yourself you used to be. Maybe you don't even remember who that was. But the beauty is that God does, because He breathed His life into you. But what if healing is not asking you to go backward? What if healing is gently, oh so gently, leading you forward into a softer way of living? That is true for me. Surrender is frightening because we often associate it with weakness. But sometimes surrender is the bravest thing we can do. Sometimes surrender says, I cannot continue harming myself to maintain an image. Ooh. I remember thinking that so vividly at the end of what I now know was my 13 years of private practice with trauma-informed family systems. I remember thinking, I am doing harm. And I vowed as a practitioner to do no harm. And I remember those 3 words just began to echo. I'm sure now it was my body's quiet language, whispering, do no harm, do no harm. And in that now I look back and I'm so grateful for the leadership of my body. Sometimes surrender just says, I need help. Oh, that's not easy for those of us who are strong, high-functioning women. Sometimes surrender says, my soul deserves care too. Healing requires surrender, not all at once, but slowly, gently, one honest breath at a time. And I am here to say that is about all I could do in the beginning of this journey. One honest breath and moment of surrender at a time. In fact, every nap that invited me actually, I have to lay down. I have no choice but to lay down, was such an act of surrender in my life. And here's what I'm learning. Surrender is not the end of your story, even if it feels like it is. Sometimes surrender is where your truest life begins. And I am here to say, yes, yes, yes. Yes, it just fills my whole entire being with joy. Take a moment and see what your body senses when I say that to you. Surrender is not the end of your story. Sometimes surrender is where your truest life begins. I am smiling. My body is feeling joy, anticipatory fabulousness. Just take a moment and let that permeate into your nervous system. Sometimes surrender is where your truest life begins. Yes, it is. Before we close, take one slow, beautiful breath with me. Inhale. Exhale. Let your shoulders soften. Your face muscles and your jaw just open a little and relax. A gentle prayer for you today. God, help us release what we were never meant to carry. Teach us to trust you in seasons of transition and uncertainty. Give us courage to honor our limits without shame, and gently lead us toward healing, even when healing requires surrender. Thank you for spending these moments with me here on the Heartlifter Way. Until next time, may you carry life gently, listen to your soul kindly, and remember, you were never meant to carry life alone. If this resonated deeply within your soul, please share it. Someone needs to hear this message today. At the Heartlifter Way. This is the gentle path. This is the Heartlifter Way.